My first question is to the city solicitor, through you, Mr. Mayor. Nuala, can you tell us who's the legal owner of the Norgoma? Okay, sorry. The vessel is owned and operated by the St. Mary's River Marine Centre. It's a charitable non-profit corporation that's focused on the restoration of the ship. My next question is to the mover and the seconder. Have either of you met with the owners of the vessel to advise them of your desire to move the ship? No. My next question is to the mover and seconder of the resolution. Why do you want it moved from its present location?
I think I laid that out. Yeah.
No, I'd like to hear. Why do you want it moved from its present location?
I definitely laid that out.
I'd like to hear you say, why do you want it moved from its present location? For the third time, you're a bright fellow. Can you just give me a couple of comments about why you want it?
Councillor Myers, in fairness, I really think he laid that out.
No, I don't think he did. He talked about a whole pile of other things. He didn't say why he wanted it moved from its present location.
I can.
And I'd be happy to answer that question too, because I in some ways started this by my comments a few weeks ago.
Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, my question is not to you. Through you to the mover.
The Bondar Marina is our transient tourist marina. That means when tourists come to our city by boat, this is where
Mr.
they stop.
Mr. Shoemaker, with all due respect, can you not answer without reading?
You have asked me a question, and I'm responding to that question, Councillor Myers.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move on. I'll move on. Forget it.
Councillor Myers, 1 second, please. You did ask him a question. He was answering it. So we can move on from it, but
he's reading a speech again, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted him to answer a question. Why do you want it moved?
I was giving you that answer.
I think he was, in fairness, giving you that answer.
I will move on. My next question is to Mr. Bear. Oh, sorry. Seconder, did you want to answer that? Please, I'd love to hear from you.
Did you want to answer?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My position has not changed from all the previous times that we've talked about the Norgoma. Councillor Shoemaker mentioned that the marina should be reinvented, quote the word reinvented. I always believed that the Norgoma is a good thing for the city. It's just in the wrong place. It's not being maintained properly for the location that it's in. And that position that I'm taking tonight is no different than any other time that we have dealt, and that I have dealt, being on this council. And I couldn't confirm this because I didn't go back that far in time, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't on council from 2000 to 2010, but prior to that, if I'm not mistaken, we had talked about relocating the Norgoma before 2000, and I was involved in those discussions, and my position had been the same then. So, in answer to your question, in a summary, I just do not believe that that location is best suited for that ship in this city. That marina, we could do a lot of work in that marina to showcase it in a better way.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question to Mr. Vare, the Deputy CEO for Community Services. Is there a demand for more slip space in the Roberta Bondar Marina?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Myers, we have accommodated some non-transit boats in the marina due to demand for regular space. There is still some space available within the Bondar Marina for transient boats.
Yeah, I mean, I travel by it. I'm sure most of us do. Everybody seems to travel by and notice chip paint on the Norgoma. I think they also notice an empty marina for most of the season, except when the American Pro boats were here. The Pro-Am was here. And I understand from a boat owner who's a user in the marina, a 32-foot boat owner, user in the marina, that there's no more than 2 additional slips that would be gained by removing the Norgoma. Mr. Vare, another question to you. The resolution refers to an outdoor skating facility. Is there a demand for additional outdoor skating facility in Sault Ste. Marie?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Myers, we haven't conducted a survey related to demand for outdoor skating facilities. We would have to look into that. We are getting the ice utilization study done. And I think the intent of the motion, if I'm not correct, was for staff to come back and report on that feasibility and the likelihood of that being an attraction downtown.
Yes, and also as part of that, would there be any revenue attached to providing a new outdoor skating facility to offset the expenses to create what's obviously a high-risk skating on the St. Mary's River and would require some safety measures. Would that be part of your report to identify all costs involved in creating such a facility?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Myers, that would be a consideration. We have had some discussions internally at staff related to the motion, what would be required for a facility of that type. Okay,
and I have a question to our city solicitor that she's aware of. Would our insurer be accepting of the city of Sault Ste. Marie using the St. Mary's River Harbour for ice skating when they've forbidden climbing on a train at Bellevue Park?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Myers, that falls under our property insurance. We would get some advice on it, and there'd be some conditions, but we'd be allowed to do it.
Yeah, I think that, as you know, I think you were copied on my correspondence with Mr. Scheer, the risk management officer. Sorry, thank you, Mr. Butler. On your staff, and he said in this, as to managing the risk, we'd want to ensure proper access to and from the ice, stairs, railings, adequate lighting, some sort of fencing. Most important would be establishing protocols to ensure that the ice itself is safe. Obviously, a fair amount of cost involved there. And anyone who works in City Hall knows what it's like on the water down here in the winter. But anyway, looking in the resolution and what's being asked for, Mr. Vare, question to you, can you produce this report in-house, or will you be spending money to hire outside expertise?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Myers, our intent was to respond to that report in-house.
Okay, because there's a number of, obviously, pieces to this resolution to fulfill the report. And I, for one, obviously, as has been well documented by the mover, am consistent in my position. And I have said repeatedly that the cost of removing the ship is only one small part. You've got massive costs attached to what you might want to do there. And that wasn't even looking at ice skating facilities and reconfiguring the marina. So I'm going to like to see a needs analysis as part of this report around outdoor skating, as well as additional use in the marina. So that's it on my questions, Mr. Mayor. Do you want my comments now?
Absolutely.
I'd like to remind Council that the Norgoma is not owned by the City of Sault Ste. Marie. It was sold in 1981. I have the agreement right here in front of me. The City of Sault Ste. Marie acquired the vessel in 1975 for $1. In 6 years, they found they were not capable of running a tourist attraction, the City of Sault Ste. Marie. So the councils before us, in their wisdom, looked within the community to do something with this artifact that they had acquired. The St. Mary's River Marine Centre was formed as a nonprofit corporation at that time. The absolute sheer naivety, well-intentioned, short-sightedness of that dear group at that time in not asking and committing the city in this agreement to fund them annually is only a testament, in talking to men like Gord Smedley, who've been involved with it for 41 years, the honor and the ethics that they thought existed at the City Council table. They were under the understanding that there would be support, encouragement, help, as the years went by, much to their folly. It was left on the shoulders of volunteers with no assistance whatsoever. And the Roberta Bonder Transient Marina, when built, was custom built for the Norgoma. The hundreds of thousands of dollars spent, taxpayers' dollars, with the full endorsement of city councils before us, was to customize the pier to fit the Norgoma, to fit their sewage outpour. It's a custom outlet that's there. You can't just wave a wand and move it to somewhere else and have that same facility. It was built for it. With the councils before us vision of a Norgoma marine park to tell the story of our marine history. There's a plaque that was put there in 2011, if you go down and read it, that talks to that. I ask members of council to think about why I would be so committed to keeping the Norgoma on our waterfront. Would it not be easier for me just to go along with everybody else, with the mayor, with city councillors who feel you should just get rid of it. No offense to any of you. I am a tourism specialist. It is my career. I know what I'm talking about. In a city the size of Sault Ste. Marie, we need attractions large and small. You can talk to the CEO of the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation, Mr. Bruce Strapp, who with me for 14 years continually did try to convince City Council, the former administration, of the value of a small tourist attraction in this community. Folks, get your head out of the sand. We're not a CN Tower, Toronto tourist attraction. We have an Agua Canyon tour train that hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent on because it's important. So are the secondary attractions. You don't see lineups going into the art gallery. But do you doubt the value? You gave them an extra $100,000 last year in the blink of an eye, which I totally supported and do. You don't see lineups going into the Bush Plane Museum, except on certain days when they're doing the Bush Plane days and so on. But we all know the value and the heritage. You can't question it. But somehow or other, the effort that's been put into sinking this ship versus in some way trying to invest in it and support it, and you could have a restaurant there, Mr. Shoemaker, had the city councils of the day directed staff to invest 1/10 of what you're going to expect to get back in a report of the hundreds of thousands of dollars that it will not only take to remove it, but to restore the very area, or to add other facilities that you're talking about, like skating on our downtown waterfront that is bitterly cold for many of the days of a skating season, unless you build a wall. I've heard that before. Clearly, everyone can see this value, as I mentioned, in the tour train. There were 3,700 visitors at the Norgoma this season, which is up 15% from 3,200 in the 3 previous years. Yes, tourism is on the upswing. They have a short 12-week season. They're not operating year-round like the Bush Plane or the Art Gallery, and they hired 4 summer students. Visitors from all kinds of places have been at the Norgoma, and I don't know what reviews you were reading, but I pulled one off of TripAdvisor from Georgetown, Texas, August 26, 2017. Interesting museum, has potential after renovations. No question. There's nobody more than this man sitting in the gallery who would tell you, yes, it needs more renovations. Yes, it needs more refurbishing. God bless you. Why don't you get out and help them instead of putting the energy into sinking them? This man with his son said, we made a quick stop in Sault Ste. Marie, found this museum, it only cost a few dollars, so we popped in. The ship does need some TLC. The ship has some damage from sitting in the elements for years. However, the potential for this to become a great museum is there. The renovations are underway, and what has been done so far is great. Love listening to the 7 stations that are set up throughout the ship that give you an overview of each section. Regardless of the construction, a number of the areas are easily accessible. There's plenty to see. My boys enjoyed it. We got a quick peek into some very interesting history. August 26th of this year. Mr. Mayor, I will conclude. As we all know, 2017 is Canada's 150. It's been a year of celebrating our heritage. Norgoma is the only place in Sioux Canada where the story of marine transportation on the Great Lakes is being told. In Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, it is being told on the Valley Camp, which is a museum ship, by the way. I spoke to them today. They get 20,000 visitors a year, and they're open from early May through to October 21st. In Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, it's being told, and it's being supported, and it's being invested in. It's been there for 50 years, and it's been supported for 50 years. Why have we missed the boat, literally, by ignoring our marine heritage storytelling and, in fact, trying to get rid of it? As I look at what is being asked for in this resolution, a few thoughts come to my mind. A report was requested in 2013, as mentioned, and STEM Engineering was hired to write that report. That's why I asked the question earlier. How much money was spent on that? Too bad some of that money hadn't been invested in the Norgoma. What I will be looking for in this report back is very, very thorough information. Based on the old report, we already know the costs will well exceed $300,000 just for removal, because that report's 4 years old. I want to see the full extent of costs to potentially remove the vessel, costs of restoring the marina, and these other things that have been asked for. The existing docks have to be removed prior to the ship being able to be moved. I'm confident that when it's all in, we will be pushing $500,000 of city taxpayers' funds to remove a viable, small, niche marine heritage attraction that if given 1/10 of the money, and this council could have the vision to invest in culture. And Mr. Mayor, I won't even go to your address that you gave a week ago tonight about the value of cultural vitality in this community and its economy. I won't even go there. But you did to 63 people. No, I was going to quote you, but I won't. One point to note, 3 weeks ago I met with Mr. Jack Purvis and Sheila Purvis, who's General Manager of Purvis Marine. No one would argue that these are the most knowledgeable people about the Soo waterfront. In that conversation, I was reminded that while it's true the water levels are at their highest, that in some time, the Norgoma is sitting in a bowl. It's in a hole, if you like. And it is not a case of simply tie up a tug and let's haul her out of there. They are quite confident it will require dredging. So it is not an opportune time just because the water level is high and you won't have dredging. You will have dredging. Therefore, I'll be looking at all costs associated with this report, and that's it.
Does anybody else want to speak to it?